I gave up one of my SL lenses to buy this brand new 35mm Summicron-SL f2 ASPH. I'll talk about what I traded in for this, show some sample photos, and do a quick comparison with the 35mm Summilux-M FLE2. My take on this lens after using it for a couple weeks is that it's a sharp, fast, lightweight, native SL prime lens with quick autofocus. The big negative about this lens, and you already know what it is, it's the heavy Leica tax you have to pay to get this. And you know that these are overpriced because these have been readily available ever since launch. Usually there's a delay with Leica products, and they're in short supply in the beginning, especially with new M lenses or Q cameras. But the SL system is less popular, and these lenses don't seem to be in high demand. I know we could have bought a much more inexpensive Panasonic L-mount lens with the same image quality at a much lower price, but I wanted to stay on brand with Leica. I love the build quality of this lens, and the aesthetics match up perfectly with my SL2S body. It has a nice, solid feeling all-metal body with a rubberized, smooth-throwing focus ring. It feels sturdy but not heavy, coming in at 398 grams. It's much smaller and much more lightweight than the equivalent 35mm Apo Summicron-SL. I traded in the 24-70 SL zoom lens to get this, and now this is about half the weight of that and much less bulky. I was getting fed up with the size and the weight of the 24-70, and if I had it on my hip with the lens facing down, it would always unspool gradually on its own. But this 35mm is much more manageable to take out with me. And the 35mm focal length is a good midpoint between the 24 and 70. So this new 35mm SL lens gives up the zoom feature, but it has a wider aperture, and it's much lighter and easier to carry around. I could never imagine taking the 24-70 on a trip anywhere, and it would just mainly stay on my desk, and I would use it at home. But the SL lenses are still bulky compared to the M lenses. Here's the 35mm Summilux-M FLE2, and this is much more compact in size, but it actually is heavier and it feels heavier because it's more dense. And this one comes in at a weight of 414 grams compared to 398 of the SL lens. And here it is mounted on the SL2S body, and this combination of lens and camera body just looks beautiful together. Everything matches up perfectly and it's well balanced. That large hand grip on the SL2S body gives you a large area to put your hand around, and it makes it easier to manage this lens. So now I'll put on the 35mm M lens. For this you need to put on the adapter first. And this lens does look nice on the SL2S body, but it doesn't look quite as nice as a native SL lens. It does have a more compact look, but all the numbers and the distance scale make this look more at home on an M body. I'll show some sample photos of my new lens, and these have been slightly edited, and they were all shot on the SL2S. Now we'll do a comparison between my 35mm SL lens and my M lens. These were both shot on a tripod and using the same settings, which was f2.0, ISO 100, and shutter speed of 1/3200. I used autofocus on the SL lens, and I used manual focus with focus assist on the M lens. Both were shot on the SL2S body, so the colors look similar on both of these. There may have been some slight movement of the tripod as I changed the lenses. So the SL lens looks pretty clear and looks pretty sharp, but then if you compare it to the M lens, that looks even sharper. And if I zoom in further, you can notice that the vertical lines on the barn are even sharper on the M lens compared to the SL lens. So overall, is this new 35mm SL lens a good buy, and is it worth it? As I've already said, it's overpriced for what it is, and I could mount the M lens to get a sharper photo on the SL2S body. But I am getting autofocus and weather sealing with this new lens, and I think the autofocus would come in handy when shooting fast-moving subjects or when shooting video. And I think the M lens would not perform as well when shooting video just because it doesn't have autofocus.